Week 8 college football breakdown here. Really interesting battle in that afternoon window in the Big Ten. We've got Purdue. They're tied for the lead in the Big Ten West right now, heading over to Madison, Wisconsin, and taking on just a 3-4 Badgers team that lost on the road at Michigan State last week. Wisconsin, though, is a 2.5-point favorite at home in this game. And as you might expect in a Wisconsin game, pretty low total at 51.5. I have the same reaction as many of y'all do. Why is Wisconsin favored in this game? They're 3-4. They've already fired Paul Chryst as their head coach. A few weeks ago in that first game after they fired him, they play a clearly inferior team in Northwestern. They break out with a 42-7 win. Everybody's all excited. Very next week, they're the exact same team they've always been. Until they get new blood in there, that'll continue to be the same. So why exactly are they favored in this game? I don't necessarily agree with that. I think this should be closer to a pick, but I'm not exactly running to the window to bet Purdue here. I've been very critical of just Purdue's overall, identity, offensively, scheme, whatever you want to call it. They've gotten a little bit better in the run game, but they are such a one-trick pony offensively that it's really just not a hard team to prepare for. We've seen Aiden O'Connell regress this year. That yards per attempt mark is a full yard per attempt lower than it was last year, which is not something I was expecting, but it just goes to show you that if you don't have balance offensively, you're very predictable. So going up against Wisconsin, they've had their struggles defensively this year. It's certainly not peak Wisconsin defense, but I've seen enough from them these past few weeks. I think they're rounding a corner within their front seven. Certainly think they're good enough to stop the Purdue run game in this game. So Purdue's going to be forced to be really a pass-only team in this game. I do think in theory that you can have success against this Wisconsin pass defense. We just saw it last week. Peyton Thorne, who been playing terrible for Michigan State, actually had a pretty good day against this defense. So I don't really know what to think. I don't like just out of principle the way Purdue runs offensively, but this is not the hardest secondary that you could have drawn in one of your road games. I actually think Purdue has stepped up, somewhat good defensively this year. But even with that said, they last week against Nebraska gave up 37 points to a pretty unbalanced attack themselves. So what gives here? Does Wisconsin pin their ears and is really able to establish a run against this Purdue, front seven? That's actually been Purdue's area of strength. Certainly is going up against the run. They really kind of shut down Sean Tucker for Syracuse, who's a really good running back. They took Penn State's running backs out of that game. They've handled the run pretty well this year on an aggregate basis. So this game is probably going to fall in the arm of Graham Mertz. Do you trust Graham Mertz? No. Is he capable of beating Purdue? Surely. This is a total stay away game for me. Maybe I'm not putting enough stock into, given Wisconsin's struggles within their secondary, maybe that does play better into Purdue's hand than it would in some other matchups. The other thing about it too, I don't trust Jeff Brom down the stretch to be able to close this game out. We saw him totally mismanage the clock, back in that Penn State game. That's another problem with these teams that rely overly on the pass, is that when you need to run clock and when you need to close games, that is not available to you. So I don't really like that aspect either. This is a total stay away game for me. I get that in theory, Wisconsin maybe shouldn't be favored here. I just don't think that this line is so off to where I'm just running to the window to bet Purdue. If I had to play the game, I probably would take the 2.5 points, but I'm nowhere near doing that. I think total is pretty well adjusted at 51.5. Think this could be a 27-24 game in either direction. No play for me. Maybe this line is not as crazy, though, as people think. All right, guys, before we get out of here, I know you see this shirt right here. If you're in need of unique but comfortable golf apparel, head over to proud90.com. They got polos with the colder weather coming, hoodies and quarter zips. Recently added a ladies line. Proud 90's got all your golf apparel needs. Browse their selection, and if you see anything you like at checkout, use code Fordham. It's going to get you 15% off your entire order. That's code Fordham is going to get you 15% off your order at proud90.com. Support me, support Proud90, proud90.com.